Hey, Beth Sackerson here with WISPA Education Council. Today we're doing some of my favorite drumming drills. You are going to need your mallets and a metronome. You don't need a drum pad, you don't need practice mallets. If you have them, great, but you can certainly do this with a table and your normal mallets. Our overall goals in this video are to learn to listen to the metronome and use it to anchor certain notes in a phrase so you can place them accurately. In other words, to figure out which notes hit on the beeps and which fill in between. We're going to drill the relationship between the different note values, and we're going to learn ways to tweak the exercises to drill something you may be having a problem with. First, let's talk about holding the mallets. I'm going to rest the stick in the middle part of my index finger. That becomes our fulcrum, and our thumb holds it in place. Now, you're going to bounce your mallet. You don't want to be very tight and play into the drum. You need to be very bouncy. The grip is equal on both hands. Now, stick heights refers to how far your mallet head comes up above the drum. When you're playing a string of notes that don't have accents, you want those stick heights to be equal. Also, notice that on the music, I have indicated whether you play with the right hand, which is when the note is above the line, and the left hand, which is when the note is below the line. For this exercise, on the slower notes especially, work for accuracy. Try not to hit around the beat, but actually right on the beat. On the faster notes, work on an even sound between both hands. These should all have even stick heights, as we talked about. Look at the music for a second. You're going to need to be patient with the half notes. Make sure you're counting 1 and 2 and between each of these notes. The measure with the eighth notes is the first one where you're going to be playing on every beat coming from the metronome. Use this as an anchor. When playing the 16th notes, make sure the first note of the group of 4 hits on the beat and the third falls on the and. Use these to guide the placement of the in-between notes. Are you ready? Let's do it. Okay, I am going to set my video so that it mirrors you. So right now, this is my right hand and this is my left hand. And right now, this is my right hand and this is my left hand. Okay, so it's like looking in the mirror for you. I'm setting my metronome to 70 with eighth note subdivisions. 1, 2, ready, go. Now we're moving on to triplets. So our goal here is to get a nice even triplet feel with the help of the metronome. And for the first time, we're going to look at accents. Accents look like sideways V's above the note. There needs to be a clear difference between the accent and regular notes. One way to do this is with the stick height. So if your normal stick height for non-accented notes is here, your accent will come up a little bit higher. There's no need to put any tension into your hand. Just raise your stick, the mallet head up higher and let gravity do the work. When the accent comes at the end of a phrase, you have to prepare for it by lifting your hand during the note before. So what you do is you play your triplet, and on that third note of the triplet, you're going to raise the hand that's about to do your accent. Or literally slowing it down and practicing that lift is imperative for learning this. If you don't get that into your muscle memory, you will probably be late on that note consistently. So 1, 2, lift, 1, 2, lift, and then be ready to come down on that next note. The metronome here is going to be at 70 beats per minute with a triplet subdivision. 1, 2, ready, go. The important thing here is to relax your hands. As we play faster, usually you want to grip harder to control your mallet, but you have to do the opposite. You need to relax. I'm setting the metronome at 70 and using an eighth note subdivision. If I wanted to keep a triplet subdivision, I'd have to double the tempo. This is because the subdivision divides the whole beat, in this case a quarter note, into thirds. The triplets we're playing, though, are the duration of an eighth note, so we would need 2 of them per quarter note. The metronome won't do this automatically, so you do a workaround by doubling the tempo. I'm going to play through this line twice. 1, 2, ready, go. Before you try this, look at the last 2 measures with the rests. Make sure you know which part of the phrase falls on the beat. You can even mark it on your music like this. Set the metronome to 70 with this subdivision. Practice playing the dot cut as accurately as possible. This means you really have to focus on the metronome. 1, 2, ready, go. Now here we're playing a mathematically correct dot cut. You could tweak this exercise to reflect more of a strass-bay feel by over-exaggerating the distance between the dot note and the cut note. If you're not sure how to do this, it's best to talk to your drum sergeant. Again, take some time with the measures with all the rests. Make sure you know where the beat and the and counts fall. Mark them on the music as needed. I'm going to put the metronome at 70 beats per minute with an eighth note subdivision. 1, 2, ready, go. The goal here is to learn to go between these 2 types of phrases accurately. Pay attention to the sticking in the second line. I've given you 2 options to play the same thing. Pick whichever works for you best. The metronome will be at 70 with eighth note subdivisions. 1, 2, ready, go. This is a great exercise to help with timing and accuracy. This looks like an Eiffel, so let's break it down. For the first measure, you're playing on note 1 of the triplet. In the second measure, you play note 2, and in the third, you're playing on note 3. On the next line, you play notes 1 and 2 in the first measure, the notes 2 and 3 in the second, with notes 1 and 3 in the third. It finishes with straight triplets. Each permutation is played 4 times. We're going to start a little slower so you can get the pattern down. Set the metronome to 60 with triplet subdivisions. 1, 2, ready, go. great exercise for jigs. However, you gotta speed it up a bit, like between 110 to 120. Don't worry, you'll get there. Just go slow, work your way up. In summary, start slow and increase speed as you can. If there's a certain measure that gives you trouble, practice it in isolation. You can challenge yourself by adding accents to certain notes, or even replacing certain notes in a phrase with a rest. Use the metronome to keep you honest. However, when you gain confidence, you can take away the subdivision. Well, thanks for watching. In our next video, we're going to refocus on flourishes, and we're going to be doing tabletop techniques.